consciousness is not locked in the brain, that is a tremendous jump. That is a tremendous jump in understanding that consciousness is not emanating from a material thing, like a brain. Brain is a magnificent tool of perception. It has senses. This is why I can talk to you, Rafa. I can make sentences. I can move my hands around. It's because of my brain. But the consciousness is everywhere. It's a field. And so Tiller really expanded my own understanding and deepened it with a great respect, So you're right, the agendas, all of those things play into science, and it limits it. And I think we have to now, as human beings, really question science. And I think the pandemic has really made us question science. We've changed goalposts all the time, numbers to how you test. There's so many questions. It's not clean. Science is not black and white. We must really realize this.
I think there's times when, or there's certain conclusions drawn by scientists which are not scientific conclusions in themselves. I was trying to think of an example right now, and I'm not sure if I have one. But for example, what you said of consciousness being in the brain, for example, I don't think that it has been demonstrated scientifically in order for them to have that as a kind of starting point for other things. It hasn't been demonstrated that it's locked in our brain. So them taking that as the kind of part of their scientific way of thinking and running forward from there is unscientific in itself. And
yes,
due to their own personalities and whatever, they are overlooking that small but important factor, I think, when they reach conclusions. The world is material. It hasn't been demonstrated that way. There's evidence one way and the other. And I actually think that reality is so malleable, this illusion, this Maya, that if you are convinced that the world is material, you will find evidence that it is material.
Yes.
If you're convinced that it is something else, you will find evidence for that. It's like all different kind of parallel realities and parallel interpretations are happening all at the same time. And when we connect together, two points perhaps of consciousness like you and me, the two kinds of interpretations that we might have of reality, they kind of merge and give a seamless thing that allows us to communicate. But then when we go our separate ways, we go into our own parallel.
Yes. So there, you mentioned a very important thing, that, as I've mentioned before, that we think of material things because it's so easy to see, to feel it, to taste it, to put our arms around it, but it's the invisible world that's more important. And I make the point in Bridging Science and Spirit that the material things, material world is 5% of reality. 5%. Where's the other 95%? The standard model of physics, which is the most successful model to date, which is the particle accelerator, smashing particles, looking at materials, that's particle physics. That's the standard model. And the most recent discovery there was the Higgs boson. The Higgs boson is a particle that gives other things mass. That's really what it is. And that was in 2012. That's the standard model, complete. That's electromagnetism. Things are held together because of electromagnetism. That's material. But that's only 5%. What about everything else? This is a big limitation in traditional science. And we must really realize that. People don't realize that. They think this is it. No, it's not it. We have a lot more to discover, and Tiller gives the next rung in our understanding. That's the next stage. That's the electromagnetic material world. We have finished it. Now we are ready to jump